Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Axel jam si Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta to dede. Luta mo nulo jel mo to nga andil mahalis. Hello?
Busel mo fine.
What?
Busel mo fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills, and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Busel mo fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
We can't say this enough. We're grateful to Jar Oil and Wave for sponsoring our YouTube presence. If you'd like to also join in supporting the project, get in touch with Mr. Jibril Jassi on 6990107 or 78700107 or 9242424. Now, gospel music is known for its powerful vocals, deep emotion, and soul-stirring messages. Rooted in American spirituals and church traditions, these songs have transcended generations. This morning, we meet a man who started out as a radio DJ in the 70s and 80s, but now spends his time making gospel music. He's about to launch his first album locally. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Shola Lewis.
Thanks, Peter. It's great to be with the legend, legend himself.
No, that's you. That's really you.
That's the legend.
That's really you.
You know,
thank you very much. And for those of you keen listeners of West Coast Radio 92.1, for years he presented free of charge songs of praise. So when I say he's about to launch a gospel album, it wouldn't come to you by any surprise. When did you make the transition from, spinning records on radio to now making gospel music?
Well, Peter, I still do spin the music. Yeah. I do, still in Atlanta, Georgia, a program called African Experience Worldwide. And this program deals with content, African content, stories about African leaders, give information about political issues, and of course, still play the music. But, and also, I started doing reggae music right here in Gambia, actually. Mm-hmm. And then when I went to the States, I was able to form a band in 1987 called Mini West. And we were doing lovers rock, which is strictly lovers reggae, the kind of music that Gregory Isaacs and people like that played. We're doing more cover songs. And then I started doing my own original stuff. I decided to get into the gospel music as I get older, spiritually stronger. I felt like it was time for me to share, because I was already doing a gospel radio show. So I felt like, okay, I'm a singer. I still do my lovers rock, but I can still give thanks and praise for what I have achieved in life. And what better way to do it than, do it musically and sending the message through my music ministry.
As I said, your DJing career began in the 70s and 80s because I was one of your big fans, in high school when you were presenting Saturday Club and
this is
Afro
Saturday
Carib
Club
show. But then you were more, American soul and pop. Reggae was more on Sundays, wasn't it?
Well, Sundays, it was more African, Caribbean, with the Afro-Carib show. Mm-hmm. Salsa, merengue, and soca. It used to be calypso, now called soca. Yeah. But then Saturday Club, it was oriented towards the youth.
The sick tune is ringing in my head.
Yeah.
This is the Saturday Club.
We were still Gambia was really advanced because I know Senegal had a problem with Saturday Club. Because I remembered one time that Swaibu, late Swaibu Konate, and Marcel, came to me and said that...
Thankfully, Marcel is still alive.
Yes.
And possibly listening to us this morning.
Definitely. And I had the opportunity of visiting him since I got back. So, and he's doing well. I mean, getting older.
Absolutely.
But, doing very well.
Aren't we all?
Oh, man, look at me. I'm telling you, man.
Look at me.
But indeed,
those were the days, man. I used to see Shola Lewis when I just came in to join you people towards the end of 1981. You would
just
come
the year before I left.
Yeah,
right?
you would come to work, carrying, stacks of vinyl records. I mean, on your left, on your right,
That's right.
You would still have this suitcase.
Yeah.
What? No, not suitcase. Briefcase.
Briefcase. Yeah.
Briefcase. Records.
Yeah, but you see, the idea was you have to be on top of things. Coffee Time with Peter Gomez, you're very advanced. I mean, you are bringing us current information. You don't have to wait. Of course, you go through the newspapers, and then you bring in issues that are happening in the country. So that is what a good broadcaster does.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you were always looking for new music.
All the time.
Even, having to acquire it at your own expense, with your own money.
But that's what it is. Yeah. In Radio Gambia.
No, we have to say these things because, broadcasters of today depend on their institution for everything. Everything. When I tell the story when we used to walk from London Corner to mile 7 through bushy areas, infested with snakes.
Definitely. The only time that we had transportation, like I said earlier, was
early morning shift.
Early morning shifts, when the driver would come pick you from your house.
Yeah.
And of course, if you get off
work, we will all never forget BI.
Yeah.
He would come to you with an alarm clock.
That's right.
At 4 a.m. To wake you up and to take you to mile 7.
To mile 7.
For a studio that will not open until 6:30.
Exactly.
A.m.
Yeah. So, we relied on ourselves. And we spent our little check that we used to have, next to nothing, really. Some of us made money when we were DJing, Casorina, Jangdula, Bonaparte. Remember those places, Manzis?
You were the lucky ones yourself, Abdul Aziz Malik Jaja Willan, I'm sure he's listening.
Right.
And the late Malik Jones, of course.
Malik Jones, yeah.
Of course, I came in too late. Before, by the time I arrived with Michel Njai, towards the end of, then Michel Njai, now Michel Jara.
Yeah, I couldn't believe Michel is married with children.
Yeah, but the point I was making is, the big names those days were yourself, Femi Jang, but we had arrived too late for Femi because Femi had already lost his life tragically.
Yes.
But those were the days, man. Only 2 radio stations, but one stood out,
Oh, Radio Gambia was, there was no stopping, man. Yeah. Everybody...
You were telling us the story of Swaibu Konate in Senegal, how we posed a problem for RTS.
Yeah, senators used to complain that 2 o'clock,
on Saturdays.
On Saturdays,
nobody ran from 2 to 4 Saturday club. Yeah.
Nobody listens to their station, and so we should reduce our frequency. At the time we were AM. We were still broadcasting on FM, but it was internal.
Yeah.
But
FM was just to feed the signal to Bonto.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So everybody we were getting supporters from Sierra Leone, from Mali, around. We were strong.
Yeah.
Radio Gambia
even
was
Mauritania.
Strong. Everywhere.
Because I remember in those days, we used to have letters from listeners, to
all over
the programs,
world,
and you were getting letters from all over the place.
All over the place, man.
Amazing.
In Senegal, I used to DJ in a place called Aldo, right under Hotel Independence, and you have a line going all around because Shola Lewis is in town, you sit back, you look at all those things. Yeah, it was glory days. And
the reason I'm focusing on you and not yet the album launches, you left here very early.
Very much
It was in 82 you left?
82. I was gone. Well, actually, the reason...
I was hardly a year at Radio Gambia.
Radio Gambia, yeah. You had just come in. And,
no, I came in November 81.
Yeah, it was you.
And Michelle.
Michelle.
Yeah, just the two of us.
Right before, after Aziz. Aziz and...
I found Aziz and Malik Jones
Christiana Thomas.
Christiana Thomas, yes.
Yeah, they were the last people that came in. And I came in.
Jainaba was there.
Jainaba was there. Jainaba, Bora Moj, Maria Calvaro, Nena McDowell.
Yeah, great names.
We had a good team. We had a great team. I remember those were the news readers, and I was the DJ. You know, I was horrible at reading news.
And I used to say, why does Shola not read news?
Well, because I was like, man, hands up. You know, this word dyslexia, a lot of people don't understand. It is an illness, you know.
You feel you were dyslexic?
Yeah, because I was reading ahead. Okay. When I'm reading the news, I was reading ahead. And
reading ahead?
Exactly.
You don't want me to tell you, you know, my experience reading news for the first time.
Well,
Marcel was sat in his office. Of course, you remember we had this... messenger Usman,
yes.
Yeah, the slim one.
Yes.
As soon as I finished reading, he was there, boss Nenga dem uyu, and I went there because I just raced through the bulletin.
Exactly.
You know, brrr.
Yeah.
So Marcel said to me, my friend, who was running after you with a gun?
But you know, when Marcel was very, very patient. He was a patient boss.
He was great. Great teacher.
He was a patient
boss. Great mentor.
And when I went to study radio and television with Elkins Institute of Broadcasting, that was the first thing they do is for you to read.
To pace your reading.
Right. And when I read, I was like, man, what's going on? And then they said, hey, man, you have dyslexia. So I had to go for therapy.
Oh, wow.
And have to adjust my pace, you know? And I was like, man, I should have had this in Gambia so that I could have been like Bora and Boj or, you know.
So you left here in 1982 and went to the U.S. I mean, you just didn't go straight into something, you know, you had to begin life anew, warm to your new environs and all of that.
I went to school straight up. I had an I-20. You know, those days you have to have an I-20 even up to now, you have to have an I-20 to go to university.
Well, I wouldn't advise anyone to try while Trump is still there.
No, they have to wait for another 4 years because that man is crazy. But you know, I went to school. Elkins was great, and they placed me right.
This is where in Atlanta?
In Atlanta, yes. I've stayed. I never. I visited other states, but I've always stayed in Atlanta for 43 years.
It's a nice place.
43 years, man. Love it. Nice. We call it the black marker. That's where the opportunities for black people. I mean, you have Washington, D.C., but Atlanta definitely is the opportunity for black people and black Africans, as a matter of fact. Very good. And so I went to Elkins Institute of Broadcasting, and the first few months, my professor, Jay West, I can forget that guy, he said, hey, man, we got to put you on radio. So that's...
that's where you're wearing.
Yeah, 89.3 FM WRFG. And I started doing jazz.
Americans have a love for, you know, letters. I mean, here you come, it's called West Coast Radio. It's called King FM. It's called Radio Gambia.
Right.
It's called Paradise FM. But they always have, you know, just letters.
Well, this does stand for Radio Free Georgia. That's the name of the station.
Yeah, that would have been RFG, but...
Right, but the W is always, and any radio station in California, in the area, that they will go with K. Okay. KW something, KSO. In the southern area is W so-and-so.
So the first letter denotes the state?
The state,
okay.
Or the region.
Okay.
Right. So I went into 89.3. I was not a rookie because I was already trained in Radio Gambia.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were like, who is this African?
Yeah.
I mean, for real? Are you sure you're from Africa? You know, when I'm on the radio doing my DJ stuff, the accent changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
So,
yeah, you really flow.
You know, so they said, well, hey, they gave me the jazz serenade, and I did jazz serenade until
What was your West Coast, your Radio Gambia moniker again? I used to be called the Melody Man.
Who?
Me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I
that
mean,
was my DJ name.
I was the super duper DJ. You remember that?
Of course. Who can ever forget that?
Super duper man. You know. But in RFG, I mean, they just know me as Shola Lewis. And after that, once I was done with the diploma in radio and television at Elkins, I went into Georgia State University, where I was in charge of the radio station, RAS, RAS Radio. And then from there I went to CLK, which is an all-black university, and I was on WCLK 91.9 FM. And then I went into television. I was both on radio and television with the AIB network. Yeah, I was presenting the African Beat magazine, talking about Africa, as a matter of fact, and bringing African videos and stuff like that into and it became very big. So it was just Radio Gambia all over again.
Yeah, fantastic. Well done.
Excellent jam, si Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de dik. Luta mënuloo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello? Ana lay waxal.
Bisul mu fay.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh. Yes!
Wave Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Bisul mu fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
It's almost 9 o'clock. We're talking to Shola Lewis, formerly of Radio Gambia. Spent decades in the U.S., has decided to come back home.
Yes.
And not just come back home and disappear into thin air. No, he's about to launch an album. It's an album, but you're going to, you've decided to launch this album in order to do something for Gambians. All right? Give us the background to this, the context.
Well, yes, it is an album release. And this is my first full gospel music album. Mm-hmm. Well, I've had singles here and there that are gospel songs. But everybody was like, man, why are you going to do the actual gospel music, album? I'm like, no, I'm going to do it when I get home. I said, if I have the strength, if I have life, if I have the energy, when I get home, I'm going to sit down for a whole complete year, write an emotional gospel song. And this gospel song is all about giving thanks and praise for what the Lord has done for me. I cannot give thanks enough to the Lord for, I have 3 kids, doing extremely well. They're grown, they're on their own, and it's time for me to have me time.
Yeah.
And that's why I came home. Mm-hmm. Got my nice little home by the river, by the sea, and just, decided, well, you know what, now it's time for me to start.
I thought you were just about to sing By the Rivers of Babylon.
Hey, man, you might as well just say that. The river is right there. I take a walk down to the river, and you go across the street and go to the beach. You cannot, that's a dream.
But you've done this album, which you are about to launch.
Right.
You've not done it just to raise money and further enrich yourself. Mm-hmm. There's a humanitarian aspect behind it. Tell us about that.
Well, yes. The album release, the proceeds, it's for the launching, or what you call the establishment of an NGO named after my late mom, Grace Amina Tanjai Lewis Foundation. Now, the idea is, since I came back, I've been looking around what to do, how to help the needy and the poor in my country. Now, people don't think about it that I'm a rich man now, so they start running after me, Gambia.
This The begging letters will start coming as soon as you leave the studio.
No.
Yeah, but just go ahead. Yes.
Yes. So I decided, you know what? I need to set up this foundation. But like I told you earlier, Peter, I have been doing my own little bit. Somebody will come and say, I need a glasses, take them, I guess in the mall here, they have this glasses place, pay $4,000 or $5,000 fee, help them and get their glasses. So they need money for school fees. Somebody needs rice. Somebody needs oil. I mean, I can't do for everybody.
Yeah.
But I am able to do because at least I am retired. I am kind of established and settled, so I have a little funding that I can share a little bit of.
Getting a U.S. pension.
That's right.
In dollars.
You know what I mean? Well, Donald Trump might want to put his hands on those pensions.
No, he can't.
No, he can't. Obviously, he can. We paid for that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not free.
Exactly.
So, but in any case, the idea was to set up this foundation, and it will be set up. The proceeds here, it's very expensive. You're in business here, to set up a foundation, it costs a lot of money. And so once we establish, and then we have our board of directors and everything, then we are going to go full swing with helping women. I chose women.
Nobody helps men these days.
No, the men don't help themselves. You know what I mean? The women are hardworking. Go to the marketplace, Peter.
But I am hardworking. What do you mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, Peter.
I'm here every morning.
That's right.
Just go ahead.
But just look at the farmers. I mean, 90 to 95% of the people working in the farm are women. In the marketplace, the people selling are women. You see them hawking in the street. They are women. Now, what do we do for these women that are so hardworking and they barely earned enough to survive? They're the ones that are really the breadwinners in their homes. I mean, I've sat down, I've looked at it. I live in Tangi, and I am looking at these women day in and day out. So we need to help these people, take them out of a certain level of poverty. I mean, poverty is in the extreme here in the Gambia, and it shouldn't be that way.
People would listen to you and say, yeah, but that should be the responsibility of the government. That's why we put them where they are. I mean, they should alleviate the poverty of the people.
Well,
because,
that is not true.
They've been in office for what, going, close to 8 years.
The government.
Whatever, you're disturbed. You see my cameraman fidgeting. Maybe you're rubbing your feet at something, and it's he's picking up the go ahead.
Well, let me tell you, the government. I don't know why people think government should take care of everything. In Africa.
But that's what they promise us when they're running for office. I will bring water for you. I will improve the electricity.
That is what politicians do. Donald Trump said he was going to bring everything down.
Exactly. So
in
when somebody says they're going to do something, when you put them in that position to do that, of course you have every right to pressure them, to do it. So maybe politicians should be careful what they say.
Yeah, but you see, that's the only way you can win an election. You have to lie.
By lying to people?
Yeah, that's the only way you can win an election.
Goodness.
I mean, let's face reality.
I don't want to be a politician.
That's why I'm not a politician, because I cannot lie to you.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? But if you are a politician, you lie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And but really, enterprises.
No offense meant, but politicians do lie.
They lie. Yeah. I mean, that is their job. Yeah. They lie. Even in America, they lie so much that they have lobbyists. We talk about bribery and corruption. America is worse. The lobbyists take them to dinner, give them expensive vacation. So now I have bought you. If I want my agenda, you have to follow my agenda.
He who pays the piper calls the tune.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is what life is all about. But in terms of really businesses in the Gambia, we need to create more businesses by individuals, entrepreneurs, so that we can create more employment and not depend on the government. Come on, Peter, look at the salary they're paying the Gambian civil servant.
It's a lot better now. It's a lot better now.
Do you call that better?
Yeah, well, they just raise salaries by, it's graded, I think, from 30 to 70%. So some people are receiving salaries now that are 70% better than they were getting, 2 months ago.
Right. Yeah, but still.
I remember when I joined Radio Gambia back in 81. $141.
Man, we were getting like $500, and we were like, man, yeah, boy,
I was getting 141 when you were getting 500.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why the DJing and those stuff supplemented what, I had a record store as well at that time.
But you were just saying there that, it's not entirely the responsibility of the government
yes,
to fight poverty in the Gambia. How can I and Martin here, the cameraman, help you in fighting poverty?
Well, this is where we look at number one. We look at that, Peter, you are helping. How many staff do you have over here? I mean, I hear different, West Coast Radio
Definitely
1, Radio 2.
More than 24.
Right. I mean, you elevating people out of poverty because you created a business that is lucrative and you're able.
I'm not sure about the lucrativeness of it.
Peter, whether you look at it or no, you are able to pay a dozen people. That is a lucrative business, okay? Because, I mean, if you can pay a dozen people, you know that at least you're doing some sort of well.
I'm keeping at least a dozen people off the streets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, and somebody who has but another thing, you may have a good idea. Like Peter, I'll tell you sincerely, I had brought in a tomato paste factory, for example, twice, and it was shut down completely.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
They said they wanted 46% of the business. Now, if I'm going to bring...
They who?
Well, let's
put everything on the table. Let's put everything
on the table. That was the Yame time.
Okay.
Okay, and they always tell me, go see the big man. And I don't do business like that. We had Gaipa. We go there,
yes,
we put our business plan, and they said, okay, now, hey, man, we're going to give you land. It drove me down by the airport, because once we put everything in place, there was the strategic point to, at the time, AGOA Treaty has been signed for you to be able to ship your stuff to America and, of course, the region. And that killed it. We brought an airline, Gambia International Airline. I had TCAL Jet in Miami. It gave me 3 planes, wet lease. You understand? We came right in the middle of signing the deal at the Gambia International Airline. They stopped the meeting and said, you need to answer the phone. I went over there, they asked for another 46%. I'm like, buddy, come on, man, I've already started the business. We have to pay ground crew. We have to pay for the, how do we call it, the pilots, because we didn't have, we're looking for Gambian pilots at the time, but we have American pilots that will be rotating every 90 days.
Peter Gabriel was already there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. But, coming from the United States, everything was already in place. And they asked for 46%. And I'm like, come on. And this was going to be the regional airline. Remember the time when Northwest was flying into Gambia? Well, Northwest was supposed to fly in, and Gambia International Airline would be the hub. And then this is where people, transit from Gambia, Sierra Leone, Nigeria. This was it.
Even Senegal, why not?
Yeah, Senegal. Yeah. We had the Gambia Airways route that are given to us by the late Paul Bass, civil aviation.
Yeah.
And so we had everything in place. At the time, Victor Calvaro and everybody.
The late Victor.
Yeah. And they shut it down.
Oh, dear.
They shut it down.
Oh, dear. Is it too late to revive, those, possibilities?
Well, see, the deal was, they gave me 3 airlines for 3 years.
3 aircraft or airlines?
3 craft. 3 aircraft. Okay. Yeah, 3 planes. For 3 years, okay? And I was under a wet lease. You know how the wet lease work. And after the 3rd year, then it automatically becomes my own. And you could imagine a big man crying. I had to appeal right there at the table. I had to go to there was the Department of Transportation. And all they told me was, hey, whatever the big man wants is what he gets.
Goodness me.
So they killed, you talk about hundreds of jobs that would have been in this country. The tomato factory as well.
And expansion of tourism.
Exactly.
Because then, all these black Americans who've read about Roots and watched the movie Roots would want to come to the home of Roots.
I was very involved with Roots.
Yeah.
I mean, I was even given an award by Fatma Diouf at the time.
Fatumas, yeah.
Fatmas was the minister at the time, for my effort in bringing Americans to, and I still do. Like my next trip is in August. I'll be bringing some Americans here. But the thing is, I love my country. And I did this selflessly. But Peter, it is what it is.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
wow. Well, we're talking to Shola Lewis. Okay, so we look forward to this album launch. Since you've been back, what are some of the standout changes you have noticed? Whether it's the way we are being governed, whether it's the way society moves, changes. Well, after decades in the U.S.
I am sort of very happy at some of the progress that have been done.
Infrastructure-wise,
Infrastructure-wise, because I have traveled to so many African countries, and you see some fantastic-looking cities, and then when you go into the country, it's not worth it. And the cost of living in the Gambia is expensive for the normal or the standard Gambian, but it is better than most parts of Africa. And let's face reality. If you haven't traveled, then you don't know. But again, who feels it
knows it.
Yeah. Because I may be earning a little pension here that I may be able to spend $10,000 in a minute, $1 and when somebody can't even spend $200, it's a big thing.
You ask me, I'll tell you, I like fruits. I used to be able to, eat a lot of fruits daily. Now I struggle to even have, one fruit after dinner. Things are tough.
That
may not be entirely true, actually.
I was just going to say, Peter, you don't tell me that you can't.
Yeah, but, as you say, there's a small minority that can afford it, no matter what the cost.
That's right.
But we have to think globally. The majority of Gambians are finding it more difficult every day, to feed themselves.
Yeah, but I think one thing that we need to do in this country, and I'm not a politician, and I don't have any aspiration. At my age right now, I just want to enjoy my life, and I just want to help. But I do believe it's time that we have price control. We're supposed to have price control, but nothing is controlled in this country.
Well, no. That we are supposed not actually to have price control.
Why not?
It's a liberal economy.
But what I'm trying to say, when I say price control, America is a liberal economy. It's a commercialized country. But we have price control in housing. We have price control in so many things that they do. What I'm trying to say, there is no law. We're supposed to have price control, but there is no law. I can charge you $200,000 in 6 months for rent.
Yeah.
That person can charge you 300 and something.
Well, there's a bill in Parliament which I believe has been passed. It's just waiting to become an act. Yeah, where you will have rent control.
Right, because Peter, somebody is earning $7,000. Let's say they've increased it to maybe $15,000 a month.
Well, the ones they would increase by almost 100% would be, the 2,500s and the 1,500s.
Right.
Yeah. Not somebody who was earning 7,000 suddenly goes to 14. I don't think the economy can, can accommodate that.
Well,
go ahead. The point.
We are a tax-oriented country. How many billions do we make a year, Peter?
Well, last year we made 20.8.
Okay.
So this year we're aiming for 23 billion.
Okay. That's
on average 2 billion per month.
So what I'm trying to say, Peter, we are tax oriented.
Tax-based, yes.
Yeah, if we use those taxes instead of stealing it, instead of putting it in our pockets.
Okay. No, I understand that language. That's the language I speak.
Right.
Yeah. If only we were honest.
Exactly.
With the management of our taxes. Yes. The people who are put in charge of managing our resources, including, or let me say, especially financial resources.
Exactly. Since we are tax-based, we should be able to use those funds in a way that everybody can benefit. But if you have 1%, 2%, 3% of people benefiting, and then the rest are struggling,
driving big cars,
swimming pool in their house,
gas guzzling.
You know how to manage a swimming pool?
Yeah.
In your yard?
No, I don't, because I don't have a swimming pool.
Yeah, I don't have a swimming pool either.
Maybe we should ask those who have.
But I'm trying to tell you, realistically, the water that you put in that swimming pool, it's a lot of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and the treatment.
The treatment.
Yeah, because I hear you have to put chemicals here and there,
exactly, and a certain percent though, because if you put too much, you kill yourself.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but what I'm just giving you.
Thank God I'm not running that risk. You know?
No, but Peter, honestly, we can make this country better. I mean, we have lots of educated Gambians. A lot of them have come home.
And some say that's where the problem is. Some say the more educated someone is, the more dishonest their inclination.
No, I think what it is when they come out of Europe, England, America, they say, you know this word that this Creole say, fodona water turn fish.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand what I mean?
Exactly.
You come with
You fall into the water and turn into a fish immediately.
Maybe a whale.
Yeah, exactly, you know.
You know, so they forget the reason why they placed in office in a strategic point. And also, we put the wrong people in the wrong departments.
It works for whoever puts them there.
Yeah, but
why would Peter Gomez want to bring a Shola Lewis who will always, grab his wrist and say, no, Mr. Gomez, you cannot touch that one. When I can bring Martin, as I reach out, Martin says, you want this, and he puts everything in front of you.
Exactly.
Like you're 46%. Like you're 46%.
That's right.
You were called by somebody who was saying, well, the big man must get 46%.
46%.
Yeah. So you wouldn't want somebody who would say, no, go ahead and have this.
But that's why we're losing a lot of the businesses to Senegal.
I agree.
A lot of people are intending to come home, and they just go next door.
Yeah.
It's not far.
Like a Gambian who came here, wanted to set up a medical facility here. I mean, she ran into all sorts of,
know that lady,
frustrations.
Yes.
And she goes over to Senegal. And Senegal says,
hey,
you're welcome with open hands. And now she's doing great things here in Senegal.
The same thing.
And the health authorities responsible for this have no shame. Yet when their family members fall sick, they don't want them to be treated here.
They go to Senegal.
Yeah. This is the worst of humanity. Some of the people we have in the civil service.
It's just bad, Peter. I'll give you an example with Delta Airline. Delta Airline was supposed to be here in the Gambia. The same 46%, they found it as security breach and went to Senegal.
Yeah.
They would rather be here. It's an English-speaking country. So they have to get translators. That's extra finance for them.
Yeah.
When they could be in a country where they speak a language that everybody understands.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what your experience with this government is, whether you have tried to bring any new business in since Adama Barrow became president after the dishonorable exit of Mr. 46%.
Mr. 46%.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Axel jam si way.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de. Luta mënulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
This will be fine.
Aussi, c'est meilleur,
Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. Ak Wave. Bustle mo fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
Have you tried to bring any
Well,
new
I tried to
business?
bring the tomato paste again, the second time around.
You will try.
I tried.
You tried.
Yeah, and the gentleman I was working with told me, "Hey man, you cannot communicate with me in my on my office number. Communicate with me on WhatsApp."
I wish you were a Peter Gomez and just name this guy.
No, but you see, the situation is, I don't even think he's in office anymore anyway. But I did say, forget it. There was another thing that I had. A company called Barefoot Wall out of England. They wanted our peanuts. And I reached out to the...
For those of you who don't know peanuts, groundnuts. The guy, you were talking about falling into the water and becoming fish. You've become a whale. You used to say groundnuts and now you're saying peanuts.
Well, they wanted groundnuts.
Yes, exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
And Peter... I was able to get in touch with the person that was in, I think it was GPMB at the time, and...
Goodness me, GPMB, it stopped being that ages ago.
Well, I contacted...
GGC.
Oh, it's not GGC now. Well, it was GPMB. And I reached out to the...
And it's something completely different now.
Well, listen, these people wanted to buy tons and tons of groundnuts. So the company told me, look, your Gambia government, whatever percentage you can work out with them, that's between you and them. You give us the business, and then you talk with those guys. And so I asked for 1%. Now, I'm not asking for 10%, 15%. I asked for 1%. You know what the man told me? Oh, you're a Gambian. You don't need that. You just have to give us the contact and stuff like that. I said, man, you're sick. How am I going to give you my contact? I'm asking for 1%. Are you talking about billions of... of dollars. Yeah. No way. Yeah. So that's how that ended.
So you're Gambian, you're bringing them business. I mean, you don't deserve any cut, any slice of it.
Yeah, that's
they
what
want
he said.
to take everything.
He said, you're a Gambian, you have to be patriotic. I said, yeah, man, I'm patriotic. That's why I'm coming home.
Yeah, but let's take the conversation back to, the raison d'etre, and that is you launching an album on Saturday. Are you going to be the only performer? If not, who else is? What's the weekend evening going to be like?
Peter, it's going to be exciting. Number one, the performance is going to be one of the finest you'll find in Gambia. Now, I've been to so many concerts and shows just to see how they are put together in the country. And this is going to be a little bit different. We're going to have 4 ladies and a guy. We're going to have Sonata Dafe. You should know she's an ardent gospel singer. She's strong. Umi Sambu, who's our Bala gospel singer. But she does R&B as well. And then we have a young Rose J, who's coming up strong. And a young lady called... Queen Mi. Queen Mi is a Muslim lady, but I bring everybody in. It's not about Christianity.
And she sings gospel?
Yeah, she's singing with me.
Interesting.
She does have Malaha and everything now, and
what a great country we have.
Yeah,
I mean, we mix, seamlessly.
That's how we used to be, Peter. I mean, I'm not coming to say, well, I'm a Christian, so I'm not going to. My producer of my album, the entire album, is Muslim.
Yeah, fantastic.
Singate.
Great story.
Singate, I worked with Singate when I was going. They say, hey, man, you got to find a Christian producer. And I said, listen, man, I know Singate. I remember when Singate started. And at that time, it was
Singate Rise, Freaky Joe,
Freaky Joe?
Yes.
Yeah. And, I used to promote him in Atlanta. Gave them, most of the artists, when they come to Atlanta, I'd give them radio interview, push them and stuff like that. Okay. So when I came in and he showed me his studio, I'm like, I want to do a gospel album. You ready? He said, anything. Just give me the rhythm, give me the beat, and let's work.
I should give him a call after this to make us some jingles.
Definitely.
And maybe even, a new sick tune for coffee time. Why not?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And we had great time working together. I mean, writing a song and producing a song is not like you're just sitting there drinking coffee. It's it's a lot of hard work. You understand?
He's talking about this.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I worked with Singate all through in the entire album. Have one that was Praise Him, was recorded in Jamaica. Priest Gideon and Magnificent Joe, they're no longer in the Gambia, but when I came on holiday, I think it was in 2002, 2003, I recorded that song, but it was not produced. So I went and we remixed it, me and Singate. We remixed it, and I'm trying to reach those guys, actually. I don't even know where they are. I know Gideon is in Washington, D.C. I got in touch with him, but Magnificent Joe, I'm not quite sure. Somebody says in Germany, some say Sweden, but I would love to have had those guys.
Well, I hope, he will listen or watch this interview and probably know that you are trying to get in touch with him, and he gets in touch with you first.
Yeah, because we did a fantastic job on that, and it was locally done here in the Gambia.
Okay.
And so I was able to enhance it in Atlanta. And then when we came for this album, we did a remix and master. So it is just digitalized and just beautiful.
So on the night, there's going to be your performance along with these four ladies. Any other performances?
Yeah, there's going to be the big doctor himself.
Yeah, the big doc.
Dr. Burango Ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a very lovely practice yesterday with him.
Oh, fantastic.
And he's going to be performing.
With his guitar?
Well, no. We have a band called the Ecstasy Band.
Okay.
And this band is fantastic. I'm telling you, Gambia, we have the talent. Now we just have to bring these talents up. We have to push these guys up. You understand? So we have a list, like the first person that is going to come on is Queen M.I. And she's doing a track that, oh my God, you should have to hear this girl sing.
Okay.
And then after that, you're going to have Rose J. She's beautiful. And then Umi Sambo. Then we have Sonata Dafe. And then the big doctor himself. After that, we'll have an intermission. And I have a little surprise for the people.
Okay, it's a surprise, so we can't discuss it.
No, we can't discuss that. And then after that, the man himself. Come up with, it's 8 songs. Wow. So it's going to be nice. Today we're going to do our dress rehearsal because tomorrow we just want to relax.
Okay.
Because we've been practicing.
And where's all this taking place?
At the Alliance Francaise on Kairoba Avenue. And, the donation is $500.
It's a donation. It's not like a...
No, it's not, it's not a money-making venture for me. My CDs will sell anyway because I put them in the platforms. Okay. I haven't put it up in the platform as yet.
Did you say CDs? Who's still, playing CDs?
There are people that, you don't ever underestimate people. You see, vinyl was gone. Vinyl is 100% back.
I know it staged a comeback.
Big time.
Yeah.
And now... It's more expensive buying a single album, like $35 for one album, one record. And some people are still, especially in Europe, they're still buying CDs. Because a lot of people have CDs in their car. Okay. But we're not doing CDs. We are online. We're doing this thing online. Okay? So I haven't placed it yet, but it's already been done. The MP3 is done, and the MP4 is done for for YouTube, and for the streaming agencies, and of course for the platforms. Okay. And then the MP3, my special guests that are going to be there, they're going to have the album and the MP3 version on their YouTube. I mean, not YouTube, but what do you call this thing?
What?
WhatsApp page.
Okay. All right.
A WhatsApp page where they can access it digitally.
And how much are you hoping to make on the night?
Well, we have I think a total of 500 occupancy. Okay. Well, what it is we have a wedding on that same day. Gambian, they would like to go for that free
same place.
No.
Okay.
I think it's in, I'm not sure if it is in Banjul or somewhere around, but we do have a wedding on that day.
Okay.
But nonetheless, I have a lot of following with songs of praise. They're listening to it. I have been pushing it in there. And you, Peter, thank you very much.
Oh, no, thank you.
Thank you. You've been pushing.
You did it for years, FOC, free of charge.
Well, Peter, you my colleague. I mean, yeah, granted, we only work maybe together for a year or something like that.
Once colleagues, always colleagues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
we can always, we can both trace our beginnings back to Mile 7.
Yeah, Radio Gambia.
Radio Gambia.
Yeah. But I mean, remember, we used to do mixed grill.
Yes.
We did a mixed grill.
Yeah.
And then we did Songs of Praise.
Songs of Praise.
So Gambia has been listening to me even though I was not here.
True.
And it was through your radio station, West Coast Radio.
True. Thank you.
So I appreciate the fact that you're doing this pro bono, really, because
it's okay.
How do we call it?
It's okay.
The ad was running, it's running, and it continues to run.
It's the least we can do. It's
You
the
know what I'm
least
saying?
we can do.
Yeah.
It's the least we can do. Okay, and what about VIPs? I mean, who has been invited to the event?
Well, I mean, I haven't invited any politician. Okay. I have some politician friend, of course, that I've invited.
They would have just wasted your time, especially if you made somebody, the chief guest of honor, and say the program starts at 7. You'll be lucky if they come around 10.
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons I didn't have no chief patron or chief guest.
I commend you for that.
You know what I mean?
I commend you for that.
I have everybody that I feel like you're going to be a special guest. I give you an envelope, or I send you the digital version of it, and then when you come at the door, you show it, and then you sign your list or whatever, and what donation you give towards the foundation. It's not towards Shola Lewis. I mean, granted, we have to pay the band, and you know how expensive that is. We have to pay for the venue, sound system. We have to pay for, backdrops. We have to pay for everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
nothing is free in this country.
And guess what?
What?
Everybody that was supposed to be my sponsor never showed up. It's an old guy. They come last minute. If I was sitting for last minute, this program would not happen.
If they haven't been up to this point, they won't come again.
Yeah.
They won't come again.
So I'm like, again.
If you had organized a Yusundur, they'll come running.
Oh my God. Yeah, or what, Walisek, or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's us. This is
reality.
just the way we are. This is why
reality.
we are still where we are.
Yeah.
We are not fond of us.
That's the word.
Yeah.
I use the word we despise. Gambians despise Gambians. Yeah. The reason is they don't want Peter to be over them. They always want either you to be in the same level or they over you. And it is a sad truth.
Yeah, but the people who are like that are people who believe they have gone ahead of you, but they've done so illegally by stealing what belongs to everybody. And then people like me would look at you and show you absolutely no regard because you don't deserve it.
Definitely.
You don't deserve it. You have no right to be where you are in the first place and think that you can lord it over the rest of us.
Peter, you know me. It's my Radio Gambia days. I've been coming in and out.
That was a university. I mean, we were it was one institution where literally we were all friends.
Everybody.
Yes, we had our differences. Sometimes, people even exchange blows, but give them 2-3 days. And
it's like, everybody has their way, what they call perfection, the way they want their show to go, and then you have maybe, those days, we didn't do it directly like you do now. We used to have a sound man.
Yes.
You remember Tony Valentine was my man on Saturday.
He's listening to us.
Yeah, saying, hey, Tijan, hey, play that song. Yeah. I didn't do nothing.
And the interesting thing is when it came to music, everybody wanted to work with Tijan.
Tijan was good.
He was super good.
He was good. I mean, he still is good because you go to Tijan's house.
He would fiddle with the techniques
to
improve the sound quality.
I'm telling you, man. Oh, boy. Tony,
bless him.
I go see him. Anytime I go see him, he has his sound. He has his sound system.
Yeah.
I say, boy, are you going to ever stop?
Whenever there's an interruption to the broadcast on 92.1, who calls my attention all the time? Tony Valentine.
Tony.
He'd call me and say, the radio silent there. Now waiting up in. And there you go.
But there's a whole bunch of people like that who like, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened to Songs of Praise?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
But hey, you know, these are people who are dedicated. They were dedicated yesterday, they're dedicated today. And that's what we do. I mean, there's no need for me to be doing Songs of Praise. There's no need for me to be doing any kind of programming. But once a radio personality, always
Absolutely.
a radio personality.
And just finally, how would you like to, wrap up this conversation?
Well, I'd like everybody that's listening to West Coast, and please continue listening to Coffee Time. Coffee Time is one of the best programming, not only in the Gambia, but in the region.
Thank you.
Not because I'm
You're
sitting
very-
in front
you're
of you,
very kind.
Peter.
You're very kind.
And you've been just consistent, very consistent. And that's the most important thing. But what I want to say to the people is this foundation, named after my mom, a very special person in my life, my late mom, Grace Aminat Njai, is really to help women and children, help with school fees, help to set up boreholes, lavatories in school. I went to some of these schools. Peter, I don't even know how these kids use those lavatories, those toilets.
Use the T word for not maybe everybody would know lavatory.
The toilets.
Exactly.
You understand? And it's horrible. Mildews are very bad for your health.
Yeah.
And your children are going to school in such conditions. You know, these are little things that I want to improve in my own little way. Like I said, I can't do it all. But this foundation is going to have a group of people that will advisors. It's going to have members who are going to work with me and direct me in the right areas, because granted, I'm just coming home.
Yeah.
And I don't know all the logistics. I don't know my left from my right now. So what I want
I
is...
can tell you, this is your right, which is to my left, and that is your left,
My left.
which is to my right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So this is the kind of thing that I want to do, and I want to do that ASAP. Don't want to raise funds. I'm hoping to fill the place up because really I've been pushing it, and I believe I will have a good turnout
We hope so.
on Saturday. And the funding, trust me, people, I am not one of those people who is looking to eat your money. I am one of those people who wants to help our country in a little that I can. Again, I can't do it all. Peter can do it all. But I mean, I listen to you, Peter, and you are dealing with these politicians and really sometimes about to go on blows, you know, to get your message across.
They have to
Accountability.
to the people. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Shauna Lewis, thank you so very much for coming, and good luck for Saturday.
I hope I will see you there, Peter.
God willing. God willing.
Okay.
Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the Salaji demolitions, and also be finding out more about the government stopping absentee and ghost workers. So come back for more coffee tomorrow. That brings us to the end of today's edition of the program. Thank you very much for the pleasure of your company. Thanks especially to our sponsors. See you again tomorrow.
Axel jam si wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de. Luta mënuloo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello? Kan lay waxal?
Bisul mu fine.
What?
Bisul mu fine. Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. Ak Wave. Bisul mu fine. Wave. Your money is yours.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.